Which sports car gives the most power for the money? Candidate number 1, the Ferrari F430. And the price? 320 euros per horsepower. Not exactly cheap. The Porsche 911 GT3. 271 euros per horsepower. In comparison, a real bargain, the Corvette, just 149 euros per horsepower. Corvette, the world's best-selling sports car, comes from the United States of America. Sports car fans can look back on 6 generations of Corvettes since the marque was introduced in 1953. A realizable dream. It's a lot of car for relatively little money. Corvette insiders call it the bargain basement Porsche killer.
It was the early 50s. I lived in a little town with mostly pickups and 4-door sedans. One day on Main Street, there it was, a white 2-seater convertible. It was a Corvette, the first one I'd ever seen.
And now comes the Corvette C6, totally rejuvenated. There's increased power from 404 to 437 horsepower, and the Vette has improved both manual and automatic gear shifts, and features more direct steering and a very chic interior. It looks like and sounds like fun. The drive stabilization system kicks in only very late, and if you plan to deactivate it, you'd better be ready to handle steering wheel and accelerator with finesse. One of the key Corvette attributes, that beguiling V8 sound. Whether shrieking at high revs or growling at the other end of the scale. Under the hood of the Corvette Z6 rumbles the most powerfully naturally aspirated motor ever built by General Motors. 512 horsepower, that's 32 more than a Porsche Turbo and 50,000 euros less when you cut the check.
America's only true sports car. European road racing had proved that a true sports car is a very specialized vehicle. It puts a greater premium on handling and maneuverability than on speed alone. It emphasizes cornering, steering, and road holding. And it calls for something special from its drivers, a sense of challenge, a love of precision, a respect for power. American recognition of these and other requirements was reflected in the 1953 Corvette.
The new Corvette remains faithful to the look. Endlessly long hood, chubby rear end. The 2008 Corvette looks almost the same as the old C6. The wheel rims in competition grey are new, though available as an option. The V8 monster lurking under the fiberglass hood has 6.2 rather than 6 liters of displacement. The Performance Plus is the rise from 404 to 437 horsepower. The pushrod bivalve model may have been written off as a technical dinosaur, but extinction is for another day. It handles 6,600 RPM with no difficulty whatsoever. The interior has been seriously upgraded. The steering column is adjustable for distance and height. The appointments are first class, from carbon composite and aluminium flourishes to a transponder key that needs no insertion. The leatherwork is well crafted and gives an opulent impression.
Yes, the 1963 Corvette Stingray is the sports car with a European heritage, but an American biography. A biography that summarizes a decade of outstanding achievement in design, performance, and engineering by Corvette, America's sports car.
The first Corvette C1 generation cars had only a modest 145 horsepower. Then, from 1958 up to 290 horsepower, and the first motorsport successes. The C2 came along in 1963, and then the famous Stingray. The split-window coupe featured a modified undercarriage with independent wheel suspension replacing the fixed rear axle. In 1968, the C3 model provided the proof that cars can strangely resemble cola bottles. The subsequent oil crisis explains the reduction to 270 horsepower, but at the end of the 70s there were record years with annual sales of 50,000 units. From 1984, the C4 model introduced the clamshell one-piece hood, independent wheel suspension, and a double wishbone configured rear axle. In 1997, the radically redesigned C5 replaced the C4 after 12 long years. The newly developed LS1 power plant delivered 344 horsepower. From 2004, the Corvette C6 gained a 6-liter engine producing 404 horsepower, the sport's Z6 version 512. Motorsport successes were won by the race-tuned Corvette C6R. In 2005, the fourth successive 1-2 victory in the GT1 class at Le Mans. The C6R won every race in which it was entered. In 2006, Le Mans again, and the American Le Mans Series.
A promise made explicit by customized cars such as this Chevrolet Corvette. These cars embody principles of design and engineering that foretell future motoring.
Now, in the 6th generation, Corvette still offers real value for money and a bit of entertainment too. The Targa roof. It vanishes quickly into the boot, which is, for a sports car, exceptionally roomy. The result? That exhilarating top-down feeling in a pure-blooded Corvette. Gear shifts are no smoother than before. The steering is precise and responsive, giving the feedback that a sports car driver expects. From 4,000 RPM, the power output is impressive. Only 4.4 seconds to go from 0 to 100. That's thanks to not less than 586 Newton meters of torque.
The legend rolls on.
Absolutely. But back to the new C6. The top is folded away and there's a coat on the shelf. Yes, well, that didn't last very long. But it's the Corvette's sole disadvantage, and it doesn't spoil the fun. Fun is the sound of the Corvette's small block V8. Fun, but useful too, is the heads-up display on the windscreen, which even calculates the G-forces in tight curves. Due to the tighter leaf spring suspension, the Corvette has the drive characteristics of a well-behaved sports car. At just half the price of a Porsche, the Vette delivers just as much enjoyment. And even when the motor is switched off, it sounds different.